In the past 2 years, Sergino Dest has seen himself move from Ajax's U17 squad to being coveted by massive clubs around the world. This rapid rise is no coincidence. Dest possesses qualities of a potentially world-class modern fullback. Dest began his rise in the fall of 2018 with Ajax's U19 squad. His time with the U19s was short, only spending 3 months there before moving on to young Ajax. With the U19s, Dest played as a winger, which was an attempt to further hone his attacking skills to reinforce Ajax's well-known total football style. Then, in the fall of 2018, Dest broke into young Ajax and quickly impressed and was seen as one of Ajax's best prospects. Finally, after the U20 World Cup, he returned to preseason with Ajax, and after Nasser Mazraoui missed various games, Dest was able to fully break through. Now, in the summer of 2020, massive clubs such as Bayern Munich, Barcelona, and PSG, among others, have attempted to sign the young American. Today, I want to tell you exactly why Dest is such a hot commodity. One of the main reasons that Dest and many other talented right-backs have become so widely sought after is basic supply and demand. Demand for talented fullbacks has risen in recent years, after their responsibilities have increased. In the past, fullbacks were primarily tasked with defending the opposition's wide attackers and not much else. However, in the past decade, the position has been revolutionized, most famously by Pep Guardiola, in which his fullbacks push further upfield or tuck in centrally, thus overloading opposing defenders. This has led to an increased need for fullbacks to be technically proficient, in addition to being able to defend. It is no surprise that in the past few years, fullbacks have fetched higher and higher fees on the transfer market. According to transfermarket.com, 24 fullbacks have been sold for €10 million or more in the 2019 summer window. This compared to 19 in 2018, 16 in 2017, and 10 in 2016 shows the recent increase in demand for fullbacks. Ultimately, most teams want world-class modern fullbacks to provide them with tactical flexibility, and Dest's skill set fits this new age description for the position. First, to understand Dest's game, it is important to understand how Erik ten Hag has used his fullbacks this year. Typically, when Ajax are building out of the back, the fullbacks will hug the touchline to provide width and allow Ajax's midfielders to drop back and offer additional passing options. Dest's inclusion on the touchline allows for an option out wide for the midfielders or the center backs to pass to. When Ajax are possessing the ball in their opponent's half, one of two things typically happen. The right winger, usually Hakim Ziyech, dictates Dest's movement in the final third. Ziyech will sometimes drift wide and Dest will tuck inside and occupy a central role. Other times, Ziyech will shift centrally and Dest will push high and wide to provide an outlet. This outlet allows him to be in isolation with defenders and utilize his 1v1 attacking skills. Now, to analyze Sergino's game. It is no surprise that Dest has said that one of his biggest influences on his game was Ronaldinho. Dest, like almost every Ajax youth graduate, is more than able off the ball. He has elite dribbling skills and can combine his quickness with flair to provide a tantalizing skill set. His aforementioned quick feet allow him to create angles for entry passes for quick combination play to break down defenses. For example, in this clip, the pass to Ziyech seems to have been cut out by the defender. But Dest uses a ball roll to create the angle for the pass and then passes with the outside of his foot. This sequence eventually led to a goal for Ajax. Again here, Dest shows off his quick feet. Initially, he misjudged the long ball. However, when Ajax won the ball back, he poked it past a flat-footed defender, fooled another player with a croqueta, and then combined with Tadic to find a player in space. Clips like these show what Dest can offer, quickly combining to progress the ball from defending to attack. Dest's passing range usually consists of short passes to combine with others, but he has shown an ability to hit a vertical through ball at times. Now, what Dest is most known for, his dribbling ability and flair. In the Champions League, Dest completes 2.35 dribbles per game with a 62.5% success rate. And in the Eredivisie, he completes 4.56 dribbles per game with a 55.1% success rate. Dest uses various moves to beat his defender, including roulettes, feints, and most often, step-overs. While these skill moves may be less efficient than a simple drop of the shoulder, it does provide the defender with less certainty as to what Dest is going to do on any given attack. It's not all sunshine and roses for Dest, however. At times, he will commit big mistakes that will result in goals. Here, Tecatito Corona nutmegged him to easily get past him on the wing and eventually assisted the first goal in Mexico's 3-0 trashing of the US. On this sequence, the ball was cleared out to Dest, who was the last man, and he was too lackadaisical with his first touch and allowed Cyril Dessers to take the ball off of him and score. Along these same lines, Dest's defensive positioning also needs to be improved. In this young Ajax game versus Volendam, he was caught out of position as his mark made a run behind him, and eventually he had to make a poor tackle and gave a penalty and got a red card. As for his strict 1v1 defending skills, he generally is very reliable, albeit with a few mistakes as previously mentioned. In the US's U20 game against France, he won 16 out of 17 of his total duels against a team that had an attack of Moussa Diaby, Nabil Alaoui, Amin Gouiri, and Mikel Couchance. Overall, in all competitions this season, he has won 64.1% of his defensive duels. In this 1v1 versus Alphonso Davies, Dest gets into position, cuts off Davies' stronger left foot, rotates his hips both times Davies feints inside and then outside, and eventually is able to keep up with Davies to tackle him and win the goal kick. This is just one example of how good Dest can be defending, especially against one of the best left backs in the world right now. Another area of concern for Dest is his aerial duels. Dest is 5'8" or 1.73 meters and generally struggles to win his aerial duels. He has only won 22.8% of his aerial duels this season. This may be difficult to improve due to his height, but better positioning could certainly help. Finally, Dest is able to leverage his size well to match up with bigger attackers. Here, Dest is able to body Royston Drenthe and wins the ball back. Again here against Jonathan Ikone. Despite his smaller size, I don't think that his strength or ability to match up against bigger defenders will adversely affect his game much physically, bar his aerial duels. Sergino Dest is an incredibly exciting prospect. He's still only 19 years old and would be able to provide an instant attacking impact to most clubs around the world. He does have certain defensive deficiencies that must be corrected to be a reliable option at all times, but he's only played one season at a top-flight level. I believe when he's exposed to more and more top-level play, he will be able to learn from these mistakes and fix them. In the immediate short term, his attacking ability trumps whatever defensive struggles he may have. He's being fought for by massive clubs around the world, and whether he stays at Ajax next season or moves to a new club, Sergino Dest will be a household name sooner rather than later.